So, Wednesday, my dad started a book on Do We Know the Brethren, or Do You Know the Brethren? And we left off on page 2 on one who rules his house well. But before that, we did blameless and husband of one wife. Well, blameless, of course, one who no one has a complaint against, or has nothing to say that is of issue, or that they can keep against. Husband of one wife, well, that's cutting grass. It's pretty good. Or is it cutting paper? I don't know. It's one of those sayings. Anyway, one wife, that's it. And then one that rules his own house well. I don't remember, but did we discuss about this a little bit? No?
We did, as far as one who rules his own house well.
Okay, so we did.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't remember how to
Continue on with it? All right. So, we said that, oh yes, one example was that all of his children were Christians. That was one that we said. One that rules his own house well, or has authority over his own house. So if all of his children are Christians, then what about those who fall away? I know you spoke a little bit about that, Ms. Lipsy. I'm pointing at Ms. Lipsy, not you, just to let you know. But you want to bring further illustrate on that?
I was just saying that I felt like if, when the lady that was here talking about how they fall away as an adult, they're over their own house then.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just, I feel like the elders are to be the example, and if they're gonna, if their children do fall away after they become adult, church discipline still is what applies. And if they go wrong from their own children, then they would handle the house of God well, because they'll handle those situations the same.
Okay.
So they've proven their ability to do the hard things. So it's needed.
And I believe we spoke on disfellowshipping from them, from
Wayward children.
yes. Because if they could not disfellowship away from their children who have fallen away, then how could they rule or be overseers of a congregation? I remember that.
Then it was brought up as to whether or not all the children had to be Christians. So for a man to be an elder,
Okay.
that wasn't discussed.
Oh, that wasn't? Okay, so what if he had 2 children who were Christians, and let's say 3 kids who were young, toddlers and down? Or, let's see, 2 children who were Christians, let's say from 10 years old to 13. And the other kids, the younger ones, are not Christians, and they are 9 or, I got to go backwards here because I've got to keep up with this, 9 to 4. Would they still qualify as being under their dad, as he has, I'm lost in train of thought. Huh? Does he still have authority over them? Do they understand what's going on? Or do they understand what being a Christian means?
Actually, the scriptures don't talk about being the children being Christians. It actually doesn't say anything about the children being Christians.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Timothy 3:4, this is one that rules his own house well, having his children in subjection with all gravity. Well, I was looking up the subjection, and that's being, subordinate,
Being under the subject of
being
the father.
subject to,
Mhm.
being, what was the word? Basically honoring the parents.
Reverence.
Reverence. Well, not reverence. We're to revere God and honor parents. The gravity is sincerity of showing honor to those who it's due. So if you're not honoring your parents, they're not in subjection. You're not being in subjection to your parents.
Mm-hmm.
And the elder should have the respect of his children. They should be respectful to all their elders. I mean, the children should be raised to respect those who are older than them.
That's what I was looking for. I was going to get to that about nowhere in the scriptures does it say, like you said, that they have to be Christians. But they... Go ahead.
Well, and this is the other one I've always been kind of iffy about. In Titus chapter 6, it says, having faithful children not accused of dissipation or insubordination.
Do you mean verse 6?
Yes, Titus chapter 1, verse 6. I'm sorry.
All right.
I guess I've kind of hung myself on that word faithful, and it does not say Christian, but like for instance, Revelation chapter 2:10. I don't know the Greek of it, but we're told to be faithful unto death. Well, that implies Christianity.
Yes.
Being Christian. So I guess again, that's one of those scriptures I'm kind of. I guess I couldn't quite clearly define very well, so I look at it just that purely conservative part of being Christians.
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of my thought. But yeah, as far as the qualification of the Bible, I don't know. I think I've always kind of struggled with what that truly entails. But really good arguments or good points been made for the opposite thoughts. Faithful as in they're not they're obedient children, not insubordinate. They submit themselves to parents.
Like,
So I don't know. I'll probably go with it.
yeah, faithful, or let me get to it. Having faithful children not accused of dispensation or insubordination. It doesn't say that it doesn't specifically say Christian, but it does say faithful.
He's not talking, and I just want to ask where.
Sure.
I'm trying to think all this through myself. But in Revelation, he's specifically talking about their relationship between the church and their relationship with God, right?
Mhm.
And that's being faithful to God.
Yes.
But in Titus, he's talking about the relationship between a father and his children. And, I was looking at that Christian Courier article, and it talks about elders are to be one being present tense, believing children who are subject to his rule. If the elder's children, those under his immediate control, are habitually disorderly, and he cannot, as a general practice, rule or stand before them and lead them, but they're constantly guilty of outrageous conduct, and he's disqualified.
Yes.
And that's that faithfulness to the Father. They're being faithful to Him and His authority. That they do what He tells them to do. I don't know. That's kind of the impression I'm getting. I'm actually where I'm just talking about that.
Well, that's what I was...
Good point. 'Cause while saying that, I still realize that there's a context you have to pay attention to. Yes, it is specifically talking about the man's order or his ability to keep order in his household. And the other is strictly being faithful to Christ. So maybe I can caught up.
It's our faithfulness in the church to the Father, the true Father, real Father, versus a child's faithfulness towards Father, his earthly Father. I don't know. Like I said, I'm thinking it through.
It sounds reasonable, and it says faithful, and
Because we're talking about having a ruling, having the
yes, they are faithful to his rule. They are subject to his rule. They will do what he says, and faithful, I guess you could put it, that they will do anything, and he knows, as the Father, knows that they will do it because it is faithful. They are faithful to him. Now, it's not meaning they'll do anything that he says, but that he will rule his house with authority and submission.
By the same token, the house is the training ground. It's where you train the children. And I look at it and say, well, the father is training the children to be respectful, to be faithful to their earthly father, as training in later life when they do become Christians to be honoring their heavenly father. Would that not be the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, because you look back in Timothy, it says, I think it's worded very, very well. If man does not know how to rule his own house, how can he take care of the church of God? So, yeah, you've got to be able to rule it, to set that example. I agree. I mean, I totally agree.
Okay, so let's put it this way. Let's say you see a man who's promising, and he is looking for the position of an eldership, and he has all these qualities except one that rules his own house well. His children aren't faithful to him. They're not respectful. 4-letter cuss words come out of their mouth every 2 seconds. Everything they say is either disrespectful or insubordinate. There we go. Does he qualify? No. Yeah, but why? Why does he not qualify? Yeah, he failed.
He's not faithful in raising his family, so why would we want him to be over a congregation if he can't train his own children?
Exactly.
He can't be trusted to train his own children. Why would we want him to train us? Be the example for us to follow.
Exactly. Why would we want him? Why would we want him? A man who cannot rule his house, cannot do anything. Yes.
You're going to lead. Leadership is it's a lot of times doing the necessary, which necessary can be an ugly thing, a hard thing to do. If you can't do that with your own flesh and blood, or whoever your godly leader guardianship of, how can you expect to do it with adults, people that are older than you, people that they're not in your household. So you can't prove it with the easy. If you can't prove it with what you own, then you definitely can't do it with what you own.
All right. That's good. That's good, Robert. Very good. Okay. Blameless, husband of one wife, one that rules his own house well. Vigilant. Vigilant. If you're on a tower and you're looking out, and you got a flag, a red flag, a yellow flag, and a green flag, and a checkered flag. No, I'm just kidding. Not the checkered flag. It's not NASCAR. Red flag, green flag, yellow flag. And you're looking out for people. Let's say you're on a shoreline, a rocky cliff, and you got a lantern. What are you doing? What's that lantern for? To look out. Okay. Huh? That's why they're on a tower. Okay. What are they doing? I mean, why are they looking out? They're looking for those sails, the boats, those big old boats. Let's go to 17th century, 18th century. Those big old boats they had that had sails, the man-of-wars that would stray off the coast, get close, lose their course, fogs around them. Well, the fog only extends to a certain height, and the tower that the man is in is meant to be really high and to be over the fog. Well, he's being vigilant to find people and shine that light at, to show them that they are near a rocky and jagged cliff. It's to warn them away. But what does it mean for an elder, a man to be vigilant before an elder? What does it mean?
You gotta watch on it, just like we were just talking about on your household well. You gotta be able to be aware of what's being taught,
Mm-hmm.
how folks are responding to it, chaos. You have to see. I mean, you made the analogy
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to see what's going on, and be able to not while not being a busybody, know what's going on, know what's going on in the body, what's being taught,
You got to be aware of what's being taught.
and then being able to act on it as well.
Exactly.
You have to be careful of false doctrine being brought in.
Or dissension. Dissension, insubordination, false doctrine. That's what it means. Vigilant. You got to be careful about what's coming in. You got to look through those doors and the people who come in. Shake their hands. Say kind things. Be careful. Introduce yourself. But when someone new places membership and you don't really know much about the person, what do? You get to know them, right? You get to know them so that you can see how they act, what they do, what their likes are, what their interests are.
And look at vigilant and see it's a continual watchfulness.
Yes.
It's something that, if you're vigilant, it's one thing to be watchful, but you always have to be on guard. It's a continual action.
Being keen. It says here, elders who watch for your souls have to be keen and wary if they are to protect the flock from the wolves. They got to be careful of what they see. What comes in the doors, or what people think when they go out the doors. Because out the doors is the world. In here, we are of the heavenly kingdom. We are members of the Church of Christ. We are to worship together. Like I said this morning. Encourage, yes. You got to be keen. Encourage, vigilant. Vigilance. Does vigilance come with encouragement? Does it come with... Sorry?
I was just saying it should.
It should. Yes. It should come. What about discipline? Can discipline come with vigilance? Yes. Let's say you're a drill sergeant and you have a fresh batch of recruits. Let's go to the Marine Corps. Grunts. You got grunts in your... saw that. You got grunts in your unit. They're completely new. They do not know what to do. Why do you think that sergeant's rough with them?
Mold them into shape.
Yes.
To be.
He molds them into shape. What happens if they fall out of line? What does he do? Discipline, yes. He's got to discipline. He's got to watch what they do. He's got to be careful with what they do. They are his responsibility, just like we are the responsibility of elders. Did I say that right? All right. The elders watch over us. They are vigilant. They're like that drill sergeant. Now, definitely not as rough as the drill sergeant would be, but they give encouragement and they give discipline. Do y'all think we covered that? Did we cover vigilance? All right. Sober. Huh? Go ahead.
Children thing, I was looking at the interlinear Bible, and the word there, the Greek that is used, is only used one other time in the New Testament, and it's translated as to be sure or reliable. So it's like the children are sure to be obedient or submissive, or they're reliable. Not just, it's the same word
Mm-hmm.
being translated there. So, anyway, just was going to share that.
That's another good point.
Vigilant.
Huh? Vigilant? Are we on vigilant?
Yeah, I'll just kind of elaborate a little bit on what James was saying. In this booklet, it says, protect the flock from the wolves.
Mm-hmm.
We know what a wolf looks like from a sheep, and then the Bible references being careful about wolves.
In sheep's clothes.
And James is saying always, continuously being aware of what's going
try and bring him back before the wolves get to him?
Well, that or keep the wolves away too. That's why they carry the staff to drive the wolves away.
They have to be able to identify the wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yes. So you can't identify that. You can't, the Bible describes it.
Exactly. If you can't identify discontent or evil things or sinful things, you're not vigilant. You cannot see. You are not, that word, qualified to be an elder if you can't see that. Thank you, Robert. It was you. Okay, it was just Robert? Robert, thank you, Robert, for pointing that out. And him. That's right. It was him. I knew it. Okay. So sober. You're sitting down on a chair. And you have a beer. And you're drinking the beer. What are you doing? I know you're sitting. You're intoxicated. One little drip of that beer, and already you're intoxicated. Are you sober? Well, what is intoxication? Come on. You had a thoughtful. Not in control. There. I like that. It is that way. One drop of beer and already you're impaired. Your hearing's impaired, your sight's impaired. You may not see it or seem it, but you are. It's like that little bit of poison in milk. Except that you can pretty much taste. Alcohol is very bad too. But
also too in this writing it says being not frivolous or excitable, cool-headed. Things get crazy. You can't let your emotions drive you because if you're just running off emotions, you're not sober minded.
exactly.
You have to keep a clear mind throughout chaos. Managing chaos and control is part of being sober. Being able to see clearly, react clearly in chaotic, high emotional situations.
So does that mean if someone is qualified to be sober, but not as alcohol sober, but cool-headed, does that mean they won't get stressed very easily?
I get stressed easily, but you got to bear a man.
Yes.
Weaknesses are.
Yeah. You can still get stressed. That's how you deal with it. I like. Cool-headed. Cool-headed. Not quick-tempered. Not drunk. But cool-headed. Looking at the wrong thing there. That's not it. I'm looking at Anyway, sober. So we looked at blameless, husband and one wife, one that rules his house well, vigilant, sober. What about of good behavior? Does sober come with good behavior? Cool-headed come with good behavior? Well, yeah, I mean, I can see that little look. You're trying to figure out what's going on. You're thinking good. You're thinking deep. I like that. So let's give this an example. You've had a rough day. You're tied really tight. Your knot is really tight. Let's say it's wet and it's leaking. Not leaking, dripping, because it doesn't leak unless it's got a hole. Dripping. What is dripping? The water, yes. but on the water is coming off the tight knot. Well, let's say that dripping cools you down, and you're letting it go. That doesn't make sense, does it? I'm trying to give a good example, but I'm not that. No, never mind. Okay, you've had a rough day. Someone knocks at your door. And you're like, yeah, what do you want? Yeah, what do you want? What do they do? What do they do? Get defensive? Well, they can automatically assume and see that you're not in good behavior. Let's say it's a friend you know, and they know you as well. And they knock at your door. You see them. One who's qualified to be an elder will look out there, see them, calm down, and say, hey, how are you doing? Hello, what do you want? Are you here for pleasure, talk? Are you here for encouragement? Even in a rough day, elders can be of good behavior.
Well, also, too, what do you do? Who are you?
Yeah.
Do you drink, do you cuss, do you hang out bars?
Mm-hmm.
Do you smoke? Are you a good Christian example?
Like Robert said, he said, it also depends on the person you are. For those who didn't hear, he said, do you drink? Do you smoke? Do you hang out at bars? Do you cuss all the time? Does that mean you're of good behavior, or does that mean you're quick-tempered? Y'all can ask me questions. I also need to learn here too. I know y'all know more than me. I do know that. Hey, I know something. So please, if y'all have something that you want to ask me, please ask me. I need to learn too. That's not a question. That's a statement. Yeah. Well, I'll give an example. Those who know me know I'm a very direct person, and sometimes I'll speak without thinking. I can see Emily back there. She's like, I can speak without thinking, but I'm also very direct. I don't care what your feelings are for some reason. I'm that type of person. I'm the type of person who slams a word fist at you and does like, if you're not going to get it, you're not going to learn it. Sometimes I can be that way. Other times I can be cool-headed and level. But if I'm trying to concentrate and someone comes up to you and it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Pressing your buttons. What do you do if you're me? Well, what I would do is I'll be like, stop. Please, stop. I'm trying to concentrate. Or I can be like, no talking to me when I'm concentrating. That's just my personality. Yes?
Well, good behavior could be a good example too. If you're out there and you run across somebody and you start talking to them about the church,
Mm-hmm.
and immediately they shoot you down. You know what I'm saying? I mean, sometimes it makes you mad, but if you're really, really sincere, you'll look at them and say, yes, you can say whatever you feel, but this is what the Bible says about it. Instead of blowing up and start an argument. Because there's people that you can talk to about the church, and immediately, man, they got bad things to say, but they're thirsty out.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me about that. I'm not ready for that. But you got to keep a level head at all times, no matter what situation you're in. You got to keep a level head and put yourself in that person's position.
I agree. You do got to put yourself in those shoes. You got to think of what they're going, or what they're acting off of, or what have they heard? Have they heard it from someone who fell away from the church about what they did, or what the church is like, or did they hear it from denominations, those who never once were members of the church?
They probably have a background.
Everyone has a background. What?
Church.
Oh, in the church, yes. Like someone who fell away from the church.
Well, I was looking at, I always think of the word good, and it's like, who determines what good is? God is sitting there saying a good behavior.
Mhm.
What's good? We as people tend to say one thing is good, but God considers another to be good. So I think it's very important that we have to look and say, okay, what is good? And
Mhm.
it made me think of 1 John 4 when he was talking about, the love, as we're to be, loving. And if we know God, we're going to love others. And if we love others, then we have God. And in verse 18, verse 20, he says, if a man say, I love God, and hates his brother, he's a liar. For he that loveth not his brother, whom he hath seen, how can he love God whom he hath not seen?
Mhm.
And then, of course, in 1 Corinthians 13, we know what love is.
Yes.
So this is the kind of person that does these things. He's going to be kind. He's not going to seek his own. He's going to be, he's not going to rejoice in wickedness. That's, when you look at let God define it, that's the kind of man, that's what we're talking about. Good behavior is, the one who's going to do these things that God has described in Scripture.
Mhm.
As far as loving the brethren. Who's he going to be? He has respect for all men. Why? Because we're all made in the image of God. He's not going to go out and be unkind to somebody because they're not, quote, Christians, or be disrespectful to somebody because he's had a bad day. Now, when it does happen, it goes back to number 1, I think, where it talks about being blameless. He's going to go back and make it right. He's going to apologize.
He's not going to keep a grudge.
Right. He's going to fix it because
He'll do anything in his power that he can to fix that problem and to change from it.
he is this person that is trying to be who God's called him to be.
Mhm.
And this is, I always think too, the fact that this is who this man is before he's become. We're looking at people that are qualifications come in because that's who they are. Not who they're going to be when they become an elder. It's who they are.
Yeah.
We're not going to win souls by bashing them, and just being hard-headed. You got to love people. God is love. And, he could correct people in love rather than harsh. He had a way of dealing with people in a manner that he loved them into the fold. He didn't just beat them up.
Like Jonah. You can give Jonah as the example there.
I just think with good behavior, think about what those describe us, which ones describe us? Or do we have any of the qualifications for any of these descriptions? Do they describe us, or do they describe someone that's a good behavior? I think what I'm running into, however, is go up to number 12. I guess what I'm saying, number 6, number 12 can kind of run together.
Mm-hmm.
On Galatians 5, verses 19 on of good behavior and the lover of good men. You know, you can be a nice person, but if you like or if you condone the works of the flesh, then you're really technically not a good behavior.
Yeah. If you look at all the qualifications of the elders, you can see that they all have something to do with each other. It is a string. And if there's knots in those strings, in that string, that long string, if there's a knot, you got to untie that knot so you can fix things. But I like what you said, Robert, about Galatians chapter 5. In Galatians chapter 5, verses 16 through 26, it speaks a lot about walking in spirit, the world behavior, and the way we should be. If y'all want, I can go ahead and read that, or we can go on.
It also shows what God considers to be good
Yes.
versus not good.
Like, the good in the sight of the world is anything that makes you feel fun or feels good, yeah. It's not something that, it's something that will make you rejoice or happy. That's what the world sees. However, what we see is something that will make everyone happy, but is, in itself, spiritually good. Do y'all think we covered good behavior? Okay. No? Okay. No, we cannot cover all of these.
But we can make a good list now.
Yes, we can. Given to hospitality. Come on. Given to hospitality.
Well, you might not remember it, but when he lived in town here in Royse City, they had a guest speaker over a week, invited him and his family over for lunch. I remember Chris went through it when they first came here. They came over, the boys chatted about what they had for lunch. Then that night they
I do remember, yes, I do remember when we invited guest speakers to come over, like Hetherington. The Hetherington family would come over. Oh, that tall man. That really tall man. Curtis Richwood. I remember when we invited him and his family over one time. But yes, hospitality. I used to think hospitality was like hospital. I didn't really think it through. But it is entirely different. Hospitality. It says, good elders not only love God, they also love their neighbors, and their daily conduct is a constant example of great generosity to others. So generosity is in there. Are you modest? As in you have a modest behavior when you're hospitable?
Yeah, it's a form of humility. You're doing things for other people. You're not afraid to, or you don't do it just to get the front, just to check the front. That's who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeking welfare.
You seek the welfare of others. And you don't just do it so that you can get noticed or so that you can gain honor among the brethren. You do it because that's the way you are. You enjoy having people over.
Yeah, it's right. It's pleasing God.
Yes.
And I guess it's part of looking for those wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yeah, you do.
According, I like Greek definitions.
That's fine.
Greek, in English, our modern English language, we look at the word hospitality as being entertaining your guests, entertain people in our home. That's the English version of this word. But in Greek, it's actually a combination word between two words, and one is the phileo, which is brotherly love,
Mm-hmm.
and the other is the word for stranger. So, biblically speaking, the word hospitality is actually a word that means to love strangers or the immigrant like you would love your own brother. And it's a big difference. And it's
Yes.
having that phileo love, that brotherly love, meaning you're seeking the best for the people that you don't even know. And when you think about the first century church, there was a lot of this going on. People coming into the church from all kinds of backgrounds and beliefs or different areas because they were running for their lives.
From the
And
Roman
also
Empire.
coming in new, and they
Mhm.
were strangers. This was all new to them. And we were to treat them no different. The church was to treat them no different than, I think of Peter and how, he was treating the Jews, the Christian Jews, differently.
Like in
than the
Galatians.
Gentiles, right. And Paul had to tell them, hold up. He wasn't having hospitality toward the brethren. These strangers coming in were being treated differently. They weren't being treated as a brother.
Mm-hmm.
And it's meeting the needs of those people. It's not just, oh, come over, let's have lunch. It's, what do they need? We treat them as a brother. What are their needs? What are their, we take care of them like we would our
Yes, yes.
so it's a lot different than what we think of as just having a meal with somebody. That's our English term today.
Now, what did you say for the first definition, our definition? What did you say that was?
Phileo.
No. Before that.
Oh, like, we tend to think of hospitality as having people over to eat, like we're entertaining guests.
Well-
If you look at the definition in the dictionary, it's.
That's basically
as
what it
entertainment
says,
to
yes.
entertain others or guests.
Now, what I was going to say about that is whenever we had someone over, I never thought of it as entertaining someone. I did not know what the word meant at the time, but I do now. I did not know what that meant. I did not really care what we did so long as we made friends, but I was not there as a participant of that hospitality to just entertain. I was wanting to know who these people were. I was wanting to make new friends, especially if they had young boys at my age. And I just thought of it as something that was good to do. Biblical good. Biblical kindness.
Well, it is meeting a need in the sense that,
Yes.
especially when they've got a busy preacher, he needs to be provided, a place to go for the afternoon. He's going to be speaking that evening. It does fill a need.
Especially if he's out of a job.
But, and I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the worldly understanding of it, the world's definition of it is to entertain. Entertain means you're just filling someone's time with something that's enjoyable.
It's like going to a theater.
Right. You're having your house, you're visiting, you're having a good time, maybe playing cards, you eat a meal. That's entertainment. You're entertaining them for the afternoon. But that's not what the word from the Bible
Yeah.
actually is saying, according to the Greek. Was more my point. That's what you got to look at it according to what God's actually saying here. He used specific words for a reason. So what's he really trying to tell us?
It's interesting, the root word of hospitality, hospital cares for people that we don't know. You're caring for them. Good point to what Holly was making. It's not entertaining. Entertaining people is just entertaining. Hospitality is not entertaining. Hospitality is attending to a need.
Attending to a need, yes.
And being willing to do that for somebody you don't know.
Well, that's also everything we have in the Bible about, being hospitable. We see where when they notice someone is coming in their direction, it, where they were in the Old Testament, where they didn't live side by side with each other. They lived way out in the middle of nowhere. So
Yes.
We don't want you to, arrive starving and leave starving because it's like, yeah, here's your meal, go away. It was all about what's your, how are you, how can I make your stay?
You have a genuine concern for them. Yeah. Like in Acts chapter 2, verses 40 through 47, it says, "And with many other words he testified and exhorted them, saying, Be saved from this perverse generation. Then those who gladly received his word were baptized. And that day about 3,000 souls were added to them. And they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, in the breaking of bread and in prayers. Then fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done through the apostles. Now all who believed were together and had all things in common."
Fellowship is different from hospitality.
Yes.
Okay. Making sure you know that.
Well, if you want other hospitality, you can also think of, it's in Acts. Trying to remember. Okay. The Old Testament. I believe it was Elisha and the widow and her son. She was being hospitable to him. She was giving need and aid to Elisha. She was giving hospitality. And in return, he saved her son and blessed, and through God blessed her with a long-lasting supply of food, or the oil that was necessary to keep that. She was being hospitable to him, and he, in turn, was repaying her for her hospitality. That's an example you can have of hospitality.
I think because hospitality is, just from what I hear from the Greek, and the whole idea was showing careful consideration for someone, letting them know that you care about them, and that it's consideration. You're showing consideration to them, and allowing them. Have you ever gone over to the old TV shows, or those of you who are older that remember growing up, in a neighborhood? Was there one family that all the kids kind of graduated to, kind of like a neighborhood mom, or a neighborhood family, and the kids all came over because it was enjoyable to be. They were enjoyable to be around. And it's not just because it was fun. They were friendly people. I remember one family. I was older. We'd always end up over at their house, different times of the week. But they were friendly people. They were open, and they always felt welcome to be around. That's being hospitable. Showing, because they did care for you. They did show that they cared about you, who you were. That's what I get from, they didn't always feed you, they didn't always play games with you. They just spent time. Because you don't have to always have to go play games or be entertained to be hospitable. Just to show that you do care about someone as a person. They will. Basically, you're being a friend to them. You're showing that you're being a true friend. Because people don't want to be around people who are disingenuous. They want to be around people who are honest, faithful, if they truly care about it.
It's like my foster parents' home, it was like that. Everybody over there. It wasn't because of food and entertainment and everything, but they accepted everybody for who they were, but they also, it's like they taught everybody too by their actions. And they were the best thing for me. It changed me. It made me see that people really do care and love and try to teach the best. You know, be the best for you. And not because they had to, because they wanted to.
Now, I wish this world was like that a lot, but, well, more hospitable to people. And because I see in some ways that I personally missed out on some things. For, I guess you could say, being born in the wrong century or wrong era. But if more people were like that, would there be more hospitality? Would there be more brotherly love? Absolutely. I believe that would be this.
In that respect, hospitality's, the opposite of hospitality would be selfishness.
Yes, selfishness. If you're,
Oh, me. We're in a me generation, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think also
Yeah.
today people are afraid to be nice because are afraid to, because there's so much that goes on. Me, I'll do for people as I can, and I'm not sure you have reservations and stuff. That's like for instance, you know, there's people that are without homes and jobs and vehicles and stuff, and they stand out there with the signs saying, you know, they need help and food for the kids or whatever. People will say, well, I'm not going to give because they're just going to go drink it, or they're just going to, but you don't know that. You don't know what their story is. I feel compelled to give. If I have it, I feel compelled to give it to them because it's a need. And even if we don't know what they're actually going to do with that, that's not, I don't feel like it's a sin for me to give to them. God knows it's in my heart and why I'm giving it to them. If that makes any sense. But I kind of feel like that kind of goes in with hospitality, whether they come into the church or not. You're showing them love that way. I'm not explaining myself very well. I'm not very good at that.
no, it's fine.
Now, you make good sense, because I actually struggle with that. I go to celebration. I'm not a very hospitable person. I don't want to. I guess I've been burned so many times in the past. It's like you're afraid to open up to strangers and help out. So that's something that I recognize as a weakness that I have. So you make perfect sense to me. You know, whereas I would want to give to people, help them out, and I may not trust what they're going to do with it, with the money. There was a homeless man one time who came to me asking if I had any money. I literally had a man's lint in my pocket. I didn't have any cash in my day. And he said, "That's okay. I was just going to use it to buy beer anyway." This dude's homeless. He's like, well, "That's the reason why I have a problem giving the folks." But at the same time, you know, if you're going to help somebody, help them. And yes, I do believe there's responsibility with our stewardship. But at some point too, you know, the people that you're helping have to be responsible being responsible with being receptive to whatever the gift is. Kind of goes hand in hand with it. That's an area I struggle with. Not to be selfish, but I think selfishness has come from fear or weakness.
Yeah.
You don't want to enable somebody to do something sinful.
What's that
You
again?
don't want to enable people to do something sinful.
Correct.
But, and that's why, like giving a, I remember City College, Washington, okay, my mother struggled with it. I don't give them money. Give them a gift card to McDonald's. Let them go buy some food. But City College made the comment, she keeps little baggies in her car, like paper sacks that have, peanut butter crackers, some Vienna sausage, a bottle of water, little things that are non-perishable, and then a card for the church, somewhere that they can call, come to, for their spiritual needs. But she gives that to people that are asking for money or food or whatever, and she keeps those available so she'll be like, this is what I have for you. And that way she never gives them money. But if they have a way to contact the church, they have a way to find out more spiritually as far as who's helping them a lot. Because that's her basic need. I mean, basic needs are have something to eat, clothes to wear, But, we can't, God's never, when we do something, their reaction to what we've done.
Yeah, go
is
ahead.
On their shoulders. That's on their head. But, I
Well-
do think if somebody touched, well, I was just going to buy beer with them anyway, say, well, then, why doesn't it have anything to give you?
Yeah. Yeah, in that case, though, it's actually glad. There's been times they give me some folks, I'm like, I got a feeling it just helped me get to the next high or something like that. So I've been weary. I've been weary to where it'll keep me from doing good, and that's just wrong. So yeah, that's hospitality is.
I mean, think about all the people at Christ Hill, all the people he helped. Did they use their life for good after that? We don't know. Did they use the gift that he gave them for God's glory?
Well, I know that the 5,000 and the 4,000.
Yeah, we're just
when he fed
talking.
them, they were wanting, all they were looking at was a meal ticket. They weren't thinking, oh yeah, he can do all this other stuff.
All right.